Okay, so before we start and get into the topics at hand, we probably are going to talk about the Ukraine and Russia situation a little bit. And I know that this is a complicated foreign policy issue, so I think that it would be best to have an expert analysis from somebody in the Biden administration. We have Vice President Kamala Harris on cue to tell us basically about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. So hit it, Kamala.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong. And it goes against everything that we stand for. There are terms that we use. We say we respect the sovereignty, the territorial integrity of countries, right? They're independent. Russia has gone into Ukraine militarily, unprovoked, with no justification other than to exercise its power to take over another country. So essentially that's what's at stake. And we as America are saying that's wrong. And we will stand with Ukraine in saying that that is wrong. But that's essentially where we are. That's essentially the issue. And when it comes to what we know to be principles of fairness, we know that what Russia is doing is wrong.
Very unfair.
It's very unfair.
What needs to happen then? Well, there needs to be severe consequence and accountability. And that's why you'll hear on the news that we talk about sanctions, which is basically having Russia pay a financial cost to the point that we can have a real impact, put a real hurt on their economy as a consequence for their bad behavior, which is resulting in the loss of innocent lives. And that's where we are. That's what the issue is, essentially.
Thank you, Kamala. Thank you so much for that. Very insightful. I did not know that, Russia was a bigger country than Ukraine until now. So the more you know, you got to stay informed when you're talking about these things. So thank you, Kamala Harris.
I'm surprised that she didn't describe a sanction as an economic timeout. That's where I thought she was going. I thought she was going with that. It's like a timeout, but with money. We use money timeout.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's the best way to describe it. Anytime you listen to politicians, I understand that we didn't play the beginning of that clip where the radio host set it up and said, "Could you explain this to us in layman's terms?" Right? And apparently Kamala Harris interpreted that as describe it to a 6-year-old. Yes. And the thing is, on one level, I understand her intent is I want to dumb it down. But what comes out of that, and the reason why that actually matters, is because it shows you how stupid she thinks everybody is.
Well, okay.
That's the only reason you would describe it that way. There's no other reason why you would go through that in that same way, unless you're talking to children. There is no way you would do that unless you're like, well, I guess everyone here is an idiot, and so I got to break it down to the most basic, fundamental things.
So is that what's happening? Is she just being patronizing, or is this
No, not patronizing. I think she genuinely thinks they're idiots and has to describe it that way.
Or is she just an idiot?
No, she knows.
No, she doesn't.
You're telling me she couldn't describe more than what she did there? Of course she could.
No, I think that is the depth of the analysis that she can provide.
I'm with Chris on this.
Yeah,
really, seriously do.
She is famous for not reading her briefing books. I think there was a story, what was it, Los Angeles Times or something, maybe the Atlantic or something like that, where, they leaked it out there. And the narrative was that her staff was not positioning her for success. And then some of the staff pushed back saying, well, we write all these briefing books so she actually can answer questions in a coherent fashion, and she ignores them. That's too much work for her. So no, actually, I don't think she's actually that dumb on Ukraine, but she's really Justin, close to that dumb.
They've been keeping her like in a dark room for the past year and a half here. Like they don't even want her to make public appearances.
You know what? You say that, but that's actually, she was the one that they sent to Europe to negotiate with world leaders.
And how's that working out?
Did you hear her her speech to European leaders? She started off with, "Hey guys." She's a fundamentally unserious person.
She starts off. She's like, "I'm from America, which is a country on the other side of the world.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is it's like even by her standards, that was particularly bad. So there's no way that she goes into it. And the fact that she was set up by saying, "Can you do this in layman's terms?" That was her way of trying to do it in layman's terms. She was trying to dumb it down. And her opinion of people is that they're so stupid that she has to dumb it down to a level that is the equivalent of, like I said, like if you were describing it to like a 7 or 8 year old who's watching the news and doesn't understand what's going on. That's what that was.
When I
She's
saw
not that stupid. Come on, there's no way.
No,
she's
no.
stupid.
Justin, she is that stupid because
No,
she
she
thinks
isn't.
that's a good
Come
answer.
on.
She
That's
thinks that's a good
such a
answer.
stupid thing
She
to say.
said it.
That's
Her
such a
judgment
stupid
is so
thing to
poor, she
say.
actually
The debate
said it.
is she this stupid or this stupid?
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
debate going on right now.
Well, no, look, of course, nobody is defending Kamala Harris. She's horrible
are.
in every way. I'm not defending her. It's just that when we get into these things sometimes, and it's like, well, she's stupid. And people throw this out about AOC and these other people too. And it's like, I understand they're not as smart as other people, but I mean, come on. She was the attorney general of a state. You're telling me that all she knows about this is what she said in that clip?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
She
I
just
truly
has
believe
no
that.
respect for regular people, and that's what's going on there. It has nothing
When
to do
I
with
saw
how
when
dumb
I
she
saw
is.
her in the background of the State of the Union, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she's vice president.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
well,
she's been
that's
kept
true.
in the dark so long.
Like I said, except for the fact that they just sent her to Europe to meet with world leaders because
But
they were too busy keeping Joe Biden in the dark, and they didn't want him to come out of the basement.
Look-
I mean, come on.
Look, we break down pretty complicated climate and energy policy on this podcast with regularity. It's probably our number one topic. And if we talked down to our audience in such a way, we would have no listeners. We would have
I agree.
nobody
There's a thing
listening to
called
this, and
energy,
nobody would take us
which-
seriously.
powers
Agreed.
stuff.
I totally agree.
But it's a choice you make. She chose to speak to an audience like
Agreed.
they're in kindergarten.
Yeah,
that means that her judge. I don't actually think she's smart enough to talk about Ukraine, in any coherent manner, in any sophistication whatsoever. And that's pretty much the best she could do. And I'm going to stick with that. Sorry.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's great. That's crazy.
Right.
That's so
Whatever.
nuts.
Who cares? This is a side
It's so
show
nuts.
before
All
we
right.
get into our main course.
Yeah, we got a
here.
lot of other stuff to bitch about. So let's get moving.